This episode of Film Riot is brought to you by the National Campaign Against Drunk Driving.
Today on Film Riot, we continue our epic journey. These epic puns are getting pretty bad, huh?
Yeah, you really need to stop.
I'm gonna stop. Welcome to Film Riot, the show that takes the mystery, added the effects and techniques, going to some of your favorite Hollywood films. I'm your host, Ryan Conley. So, Thursday I showed you how the Red Epic works. Today I'm going to show you my post workflow, then after that I'm going to attempt to get my 5D to look as good as my Red footage. Or at least try to get it to come close. Okay, so I'm going to do this quick since I really want to get to the 5D versus Red stuff. Plus this is surprisingly simple anyway. So first you have your Red Mag reader, which acts just like any other card reader. You pop in the Red Mag and it connects to your computer. Now I'm going to open up a program that you can get for free at red.com called Red Cine X. This is where you can handle all your Red footage and do all your converting. Now, if I was shooting in 2K, I could just bring all my footage right into Adobe Premiere and start editing without the need to convert, since Adobe handles the Red codec natively. But like I told you Thursday, I'm shooting in 5K because of the crop factor. So inside of Red Cine X, I will select the Red Mag drive, then the clips I want to convert, drag them into a bin, and I'm ready to convert. Just go here to create the specifics you want for your conversion, and you're ready to go. Now I'm running on an iMac, so the conversion takes a bit long for me, but once it's done, I'm ready to edit. And the reason I've shown you this is because I put up some short raw 5K files for you to download if you would like to take and convert and mess with them. The quality of this camera is amazing. It just blows me away, but since the video you're watching is so compressed, you can't really see the full quality. So if you would like more of a hands-on look, go to this link, download the file, and there you go. Get some hands-on experience with Red Epic footage. It's like a free film school up in this mother lover. Now hold on a sec. Okay, lady girls and manly fellas, I would assume that for most of us, the goal is feature films. That means theaters, playa, but that is eventually. So for now, we're all just internet-based filmmakers, meaning our work is compressed and shown on places like YouTube. And though the Red Epic is amazing, you really can't see its full potential on YouTube. So with that in mind, I'm curious to see how much of a difference shooting on the Red instead of the 5D will make when you have to compress and deliver for the web. So right now I'm going to put these babies head to head and do my best to make my $2,500 5D look as good as a $55,000 Red Epic. Let's do this. Now before we start, I just want to clarify, when you look at the images from these cameras uncompressed, there is no contest. The Epic blows the 5D out of the water, but that's not what we're testing today. We want to see how close the images come when compressed for the web. So with that once again clarified, so we head the comments off at the pass, let's jump right into our first image. The first thing I did was to set up a simple scene with dramatic lighting. I wanted to give a good amount of bright to dark areas, and with this first one, I wanted the majority of my image and actor to be underexposed. The reason for this is that underexposing is usually where lower grade cameras start to break down, and sure enough, in the 5D clip, you can see a lot of ugliness happening in the dark areas, like on Josh's shirt and hair, but now when we switch over to the Red Epic footage, it's smooth as a baby's bottom. Or Josh's bottom.
Creepy.
He shaves it.
No, I don't.
Next, I came in a bit tighter and lit a bit differently for each camera to try and make each one look as good as I could. I thought with this one, since I used a lot more light for the 5D this time, the 5D came a lot closer to competing with the Epic, but still not close enough. The detail in the Epic far surpasses the 5D, and that detail will definitely come in handy when color grading. And still, there is some ugliness and banding happening back there in the dark areas of the image for the 5D. Now the final thing I did with this setup was to come even closer to see as much detail on the actor as I possibly can. This was funny for me because when I looked at the 5D footage first, I was like, hey, that looks pretty darn good. But then I switched over to the Epic footage and I was like, oh, the footage from the 5D is not fully sharp, and since it's compressed inside the camera and scaled a bit, we kind of get this milky look from it on the actor's skin, but the Epic is a totally different story, super sharp and tons of detail. For my final test shot, I went outside to get a lot more light from that little hovering devil I like to call the sun. Cameras like DSLRs do a lot better with a lot of light pumped into them, so I figured this would give my little DSLR that could the best advantage. I found that this image was the closest to the red of all four, but still had the same lack of detail and dirtiness in the dark areas, and again, the Epic was silky smooth all the way through. The thing that's funny for me is that I won't really know the outcome of these tests until this episode is released online, since what we're wanting to see is the comparison of the two once they've gone through all the compressions, including the final one that YouTube does when we upload it. Or the Revision 3 player, the Mio, they all have like a little extra to your quality. But now we take a little break, then we're going to check to see if there's rolling shutter on the Epic and add some color correction to these tests. The police will be out in force nationwide from August 19th to September 5th in a national effort to crack down on impaired driving. Don't put yourself and others in danger or risk the terrible repercussions. Drive sober or get pulled over. Each year, nearly 12,000 people die on our roads due to impaired driving. That would be the equivalent of 30 jumbo jets crashing each year. That's ridiculous, which with that in mind, if you drive drunk, I think you're a douchebag. So the next time you're drinking and you're like, I'm gonna drive, stop and be like, oh, you know what? Ryan Conley thinks I'm a douchebag, and feel bad about yourself. Record number of state and local law enforcement and highway safety officials across the nation will be taking part, and they will be looking for drunk drivers day and night and making the road safer for the rest of us who aren't douchebags. So do yourself a favor, drive sober or get pulled over, which should also be, don't be such an a-hole that you're putting other people's lives in risk because you're a selfish a-hole. That's a little harsh, but you know what? I don't care, because I say it with love.
Logo.
So here we go. First, we have the original image from the 5D, then the corrected. If you color correct smart, you actually can hide a lot of the issues with this image, especially in the dark area, but you have to be careful how far you push your image because it'll start to break, which is not the case when it comes to the Epic. And here's the Epic's original and then corrected. And color grading Epic footage is like vacation compared to working with 5D footage. There's so much more information and room to move that you can really dial in the look you want so much easier. But I was trying to get these two to look very similar. It was just so much easier to get the red there than it was to get the 5D. But moving on, again, we have the original 5D footage and now the corrected. And again, correction really helps save the image. And now if we take the Epic's original and slap some color correction on it, and now compare the two, once I have both images corrected, they come far closer to matching up. I'm actually surprised how close I was able to get my 5D footage to the red Epic's footage. I mean, I can still see a huge difference, but I'm guessing that once on the web, these examples will come even closer. Why does this matter, you might wonder? Well, for those of us that aren't making stuff for a theater, it's encouraging to see how close we can get our sub $5,000 gear to match up to a camera that costs over $50,000 more. And now for the final thing we're going to test today, which is the rolling shutter issue on this camera. The 5D is terrible with rolling shutter, and I was curious to see how much of an issue it is on the red. So first, as you've seen before, here's the 5D's nightmare rolling shutter. And now with the red Epic. There isn't much, but it's definitely there. I personally found this really interesting, so I thought I'd share. Especially since a lot of people think that the red has no rolling shutter issue, which, as you can see, is not true. Though it's very little as compared to the 5D, it's still enough that you need to be aware of it when shooting. Well, peeps, we're done and out of here, but you can follow me on Twitter if you want, and our Film Riot Facebook page for more lovin' from the oven, and I'll see you on Thursday, so until then, stay safe and watch good films.